Welcome to the Hooch, where the only place more messed up than your hosts is the barracks on a Friday night or the VA. So get ready to stand by for your weekly dose of toilet humor and shenanigans from your fellow veterans, Coy Mack and Michael Grizzled Grunt Harris.
Fellow patriots, you got Coy Mack here and the one, the only, Michael Harris.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Gotta get that clapping applause for Michael.
Yes.
So, good evening for the second part of the the video that I didn't get to continue before, but we also have some other breaking news for the week. We've got the response to Donald Trump being kicked off the ballot in Colorado between Joe Biden, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Ron DeSantis. Sanctimonious. I almost said it not without unironically said it. I almost unironically said it.
Hey, Teresa.
And then also mass migration is happening on the border. At least 12,000 migrants have made it across the border, and they are overwhelming the Border Patrol, and they're just letting them in because that's where we are today. So how's your day been there, Michael?
Oh, man, it's been pretty chill. I had to get up early to take my nephew to the train station. Then I came back, laid down, took a test, passed my tests. And then I was just reading some books, man. You know, I need that brain orgasm. That's what I do.
Brain orgasm.
I call it a brain orgasm, man. I just fill it up with as much knowledge as I possibly can.
Fill it up with all that info. You gotta keep filling it up. So to start off, I guess we'll listen to Vivek Ramaswamy. So here's the headline. You got Ramaswamy says he will withdraw from Colorado candidacy if the state does not reinstate Trump. Now, in Colorado's response, the GOP of Colorado has also said that they will switch to a caucus system if Trump is removed from the ballot, but they've also put a stay on it until after January 4th, which is when they print the ballots, right? So that's kind of interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so I want to bring up his response to this. Here's the tweet with it. He says, "I pledge to withdraw." I had this, it clicked on it and brought it up on another screen. Anyway, I pledge to withdraw from the GOP primary ballot until Trump is allowed to be on the ballot, and I demand that Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, and Nikki Haley do the same immediately. So here's his full response.
They have just tried to bar President Trump from the Colorado ballot using an unconstitutional maneuver that is a bastardization of the 14th Amendment to our U.S. Constitution. This was a provision, Section 3, that was designed to bar Confederate members, people who switched to the Confederacy, from actually being able to serve. That's very different than what's at issue here, to say the least. This is a hollowed out husk of what the country was built on. The basic principle that we, the people, select our leadership, not the unelected elite class in the back of palace halls. That's old world Europe, not the United States. That's why I'm making a pledge today that I will withdraw. I pledge to withdraw from the Colorado GOP primary ballot unless and until Trump's name is restored. And I demand that Ron DeSantis and Chris Christie and Nikki Haley do the same thing, or else these Republicans are simply complicit in this unconstitutional attack on the way we conduct our constitutional republic. I refuse to be complicit in that. I think what they're doing is wrong, and I think it's up to Republicans to step up and stand up with a spine for our country's future. That's really what's at stake, whether we, the people, actually have a say in deciding who leads this country. Yes, it would be easier for other Republicans like me who are running in this race to say, hey, if Trump is sidelined, there's our opportunity. No doubt other candidates are probably privately celebrating with their corporate sponsors. That's not the right thing to do. I think the most useful thing that every GOP candidate can do right now is to join me in that pledge. I'll say that I will withdraw from that Colorado GOP primary ballot until Trump's name is restored. This belongs to the people, not to the unelected Democratic cabal of judges in Colorado or any other state. And I demand.
Yeah, see, that's right. Like, that's one of the things I agree with is like the judges shouldn't be determining who is and who is not eligible for a ballot. Like that's a complete overreach.
And 4 judges at that. 4 judges are deciding what 70 million, maybe plus voters can vote for, who can vote for. It's very unconstitutional. And like he said, this is an old case from like, what was it, 18, right after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's right out. It's in the Reconstruction era.
Yeah.
It was like we all know that this was intentionally for that time period. The reason they made that amendment was for that time period. I do not think they intended it to be used against the president of the United States as a means to remove an opponent from the ballot. I do not think that was their reason for it. And the fact that they keep going over the fact that he led the insurrection on January 6th is like, January 6th was not an insurrection. Like, if you call that an insurrection, then what do you call the Weather Underground and any of the bombings that they did in Congress that Bill Clinton, mind you, Bill Clinton commuted their sentences for? Literal bombing of congressional like offices, like actually at Congress. That's not an insurrection, but you can let him off the hook for that. But all right, we'll play your game.
Yeah, and to that, when was he convicted?
He wasn't.
He wasn't convicted, right? He was just accused.
Right.
He was accused. He was indicted, but he was never convicted of anything. He didn't be, go in front of a court of law in front of his peers where they say, we find you guilty of insurrection. That never happened. Yep. So these judges are making this decision based off feelings. And most likely they're all leftists,
They are. Every single one of them is a Democrat judge.
It's expected of them that, they're emotionally based people. They're not logical thinkers. Everything is emotion. So they dislike Trump, and they figured that they have the power to do it, which will get overturned by the Supreme Court. And they just did it to stir it up a little bit. But they done messed up and pissed off 70 million plus Americans in that state.
Yeah. And this is the point, is like the Democrats keep saying, hey, we're going to save democracy by getting rid of democracy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like you can vote for whoever you want as long as it's Joe Biden. Right? Yeah, because that's how democracy works.
Yeah, and the Shorty's point is I think they put a provision in there to where he can't even be written in.
Yeah, no, most states do not have an ability to do write-in candidates. Mm-hmm. It has to be on the ballot when it happens. Colorado happens to be one of those states.
Mm-hmm.
So that is okay. Insane to me. Like I said, like we're gonna to protect democracy by getting rid of democracy in your choice.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we're only going to allow you to vote for who we decide to be on the ballot. And that's your choice.
Yeah.
Take
your
it or
choice
leave
is
it.
Our choice. Yeah.
But we love democracy, and we're not a democracy. That's communist talk. So
I know. Well, when they say our democracy,
yeah, I know
that's what they mean. They mean something completely different. They don't mean our republic. Yeah. They mean our democracy, what we want to see happen. So like let's put it like this. North Korea has elections. Mm-hmm. Did you know that?
Yeah.
But there's only one person on the ballot.
That's right.
And you can't vote anybody else. But they have elections. They have voting. Same thing with like the the Congress in China. Like they have a Congress. You can vote for somebody else, but it's only one person.
It'd come down to something like that. I could see our country kind of going into the direction, especially with all these commies in power. They limit who you can vote for on a ballot. And then if you don't vote, if you're saying, I'm just not voting for none of them, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's the type of stuff that they'll label you as a domestic terrorist. Mm-hmm. I can see it going that way. You're labeled at that point because they track everybody. They're supposed to track everyone who votes. So if you don't vote, if you're just like, no confidence. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Put him on a list of, the watch list.
Yeah, put him on the watch list. I think the majority of us, especially commentators, are on a list somewhere. Like there's been talk. People are legitimately scared of 2024. Like, and rightly so. There are people that are already planning on fleeing the country because they're expecting it to get bad. You think? I mean, it's not gonna get better over the next year. It's just not. So, and here's a good example of why it's not. Is Ron DeSanctimonious, Ron the 3-inch heel wearing cowboy boot pretending governor of Florida has something he wants to say about the situation.
And real quick, fellow GOP 2024 presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy saying he from the Colorado ballot unless Trump's eligibility is restored. Would you do the same?
No, I think that's just playing into the left. I think the case will get overturned by the Supreme Court, but I've qualified for all the ballots. I'm competing in all the states, and I'm going to accumulate the delegates necessary. That's the whole name of the game in this situation. But I do anticipate that decision was political and will get reversed.
All right, Governor Ron DeSantis, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Yeah. So you heard it from the man himself. He's playing the game just like that, and you're playing into the Democrats' hand by like not being on the ballot. It's like, no, playing the game that the Democrats are setting the board for is working for them. Like you're saying the exact opposite of what you're actually meaning, right? Like they are playing you. They want you to do this. They want you to continue playing the game, even though they've already rigged the rules.
Yep. And he's what you call, of course, we call him a rhino. We talked about sanctimonious long before, when he first said he was going to run. And we was like, nah, not this guy. We don't trust him. And he's a ringer. He's in there to run as someone on the right, which he's not a right. He's not a conservative at all. He's closer to being a commie. And he parades around like he's conservative, has conservative values, but he really doesn't. And just based off that statement, who he aligns himself with. He aligns himself with the cabal and the establishment. Yeah.
I do not think DeSantis, even if he wanted to, doesn't have what it takes to win.
No.
In the general, it doesn't. He may have had the support before, but he doesn't now. Like, he just doesn't.
It's pretty bad when you said Joe Biden would beat DeSantis.
Yeah. I think everybody knows that.
That says a lot about him as a candidate.
Yeah.
He's the Kamala Harris of the 2020 election.
But the thing is like, he was strong. Coming out of the gate, he was strong. Like, he was. And then he got the worst campaign staff to have ever existed and just mucked it up the entire way through. I don't know how he messed it up and how Haley, of all people, is winning against him.
Just look at DeSantis' face. There's no enthusiasm. I mean, compare him to Vivek, right? Vivek, you kind of see this enthusiasm, this kind of, I know I want to win and I know what I can do and I know what I'm going to try to do. DeSantis, he's just like, yep. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. He just looks bored. Like he really doesn't want to run for president. And I think he's getting pressure from someone or some entity to run. And I think he has the look of defeat already.
I honestly think that, like most people have said, is that he was the only person that could have ran as his VP and they both would have won. And I think it was intentional sabotage on somebody's part to get rid of a Trump DeSantis ticket. And everything that he's done and since then is showing that's exactly what it was.
Oh yeah.
Like, absolutely. And it's so crazy to me, like how much he's shot himself in the foot. And so that being said, the reason why I say it's getting scary and it's getting crazy is not only DeSantis's response, but also, oh, Sleepy Potato Joe, Mr. Pedo Pete himself.
Or is that even Joe? Which actor is that?
Is that his double?
That's his him? Double. That's not him.
Yeah, we shall see.
Trump an insurrectionist, sir?
Well, I think certainly it's self-evident. You saw it all. Now, whether the 14th Amendment applies, I'll let the court make that decision. But he certainly supported an insurrection. And no question about it. None. Zero. And he seems to be doubling down on about everything. Anyway.
He was doubling down. It's self-evident that Donald Trump is an insurrectionist.
Oh, my
according
God.
to my feelings and thoughts. That is it. No logical basis, no court of law, no due process. Just he is.
Yeah, and it's the same thing when you bring up Joe Biden's faults, with Burisma and his money laundering and all this other stuff. Before they were like, well, there's no evidence. A court didn't find him guilty of that, blah, 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 blah. But, and then we're just supposed to be like, okay, you're right. But when it comes to Trump, the court didn't find anything and it's he did it. He's an insurrectionist. And they keep saying this over and over again. And all the little tambourine beating monkeys that listen to these fools are just regurgitating it. They don't know. They really don't know. They're just hearing it. They're just like, I hate Trump. And that's right. They have no idea what they're talking about.
Yep, exactly. But they keep doing it. They keep saying that this is right. This is what we should be doing because due process doesn't exist in the United States anymore. Like not that it ever did. I don't know when the last time it actually meant something because court of public opinion can crucify you openly and then nothing will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can just lie and make up things however you want. I mean, like what they did during Trump's presidency. They just made up things to hinder his presidency, and they say he's the insurrectionist, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can have one of your top generals lie to your face as the commander in chief, and that wasn't a coup.
Yep.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Milley. Good old Milley.
Oh, Milley. Who was that other weirdo? Lieutenant Colonel. He was still in the military, and he came up there and talked all that crap.
Yeah.
That other weirdo.
That other guy, the one that said that he had, proof that the phone call was nothing, was something when it was nothing. That guy you're talking about?
Yeah, that guy.
I remember that guy. I think everybody remembers that guy. But the point is that we are in a situation in the United States where things are going to get a lot more hairier, and they are doing everything in their power to get rid of Donald Trump. And however you feel about the man, it's scary to see that they are working so hard to get rid of him, and that should terrify most people, and it's going to lead to something that's going to cause a lot of issues. And we shouldn't be violent because that's exactly what they want, because the security state loves violence because that means they get more powers to suppress it. So don't give in to them and don't let them do that. Nonviolence is the key here, and to be morally superior. But we can still play under the laws and regulations that they've set. If they're going to change the rules, then play by the rules they changed them to. So that's the way we'll have to do it. Which comes to my next point is the fact that the immigration problem at the border is getting worse. I don't know if you've seen any of the videos coming out of that, Michael, but it's pretty crazy.
It's pretty bad.
So this is coming from Taylor Hansen, exclusive inside makeshift migrant apprehension site in Eagle Pass, Texas. Thousands of illegal migrants have been sleeping here as they wait to be apprehended and processed. Some have been waiting here for 24 hours. In all my years of reporting, I have never seen anything like this. And it's pretty crazy. Like, and this is what, a couple of days, not even a couple of days ago. Yeah, yesterday. This is from yesterday.
I am Taylor Hansen here with Tenant Media. Right now, I am directly in the area where they are all waiting, processing. You have over 1,000 migrants here. It's about, I would say, 5:30 a.m. in the morning. But let me take you through a quick little walkthrough real quick. As you can see, they're all wearing these silver blankets. It's pretty cold out here right now. And we're just gonna walk directly in here and see what we can do here. Some of these people have been waiting, over 24 hours awaiting processing here in Texas.
That's insane.
Just take a look around the sheer amount of people here. You easily have 1,000 people. Border Patrol is actually heading a few miles down and picking these migrants up down the street. Instead of making them walk, they're giving them rides into this little area while they're awaiting processing. We'll keep walking through here to kind of give you the idea of how many people are actually just confined in this one area.
It is nuts, dude. Like, what is the plan here? Like, why are they letting these people do this? Like, the immigration has never been as bad as it is today. Like, period. It has never been as bad as today is. Like, we're talking 12,000 people in the last 2 days have crossed over the border, and they've just let them. They didn't catch them. They didn't do anything with them. They just like, here you go, open the gates. You can go in. Go for it. America is free game.
Yeah, and we know why they're doing it. If one reason is to disrupt the political process, right? If we can have everyone focused on a border by allowing all these people in, we could take the focus off other nefarious things that we're doing. You know what I mean? So yes, let's focus on a border. Let's show them all these people. Let's do that and this. But while they're focusing on that, we're going to be over here handling this. Now, they forgot about the border. Now we're going to focus on taking Trump off the ballot. So it's just, it's a game that they're playing, man. It's psychological warfare,
Yep.
and they know exactly what they're doing.
So, and here's another video showing you the sheer amount of people waiting to be processed, and the majority of them are military-aged males. They're not families; they're young men that are escaping oppression. I think that's what the lefties like to say that they are. They're escaping their circumstances, right? And these are not. They're coming here for money. They're coming here for whatever they can grab. They are not here for any other reason than to be an economic migrant. That's it.
What money are they going to get when the economy crashes?
I mean, they're overloading the system as it is, so good luck with that.
Yeah, and this is probably one of the reasons why they're doing it. They overload the system. The economy will crash.
Yeah.
And all these people come over here and they'll be like, oh, sorry, everybody's broke.
We're all broke, man.
Yeah, we're all broke.
Like, have you seen the cost of food? Have you seen the cost of anything today? It's insane. Like, where's the money do you think you're getting from all these things?
In Ukraine. That's where it's at.
Ukraine. Yeah, we got money for Ukraine, though. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we give Mexico foreign aid, too, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think China still gets some money, too.
Yeah.
If you didn't know. That's a pretty
giving you our money, but then you're sending your people over to us. Stop all foreign aid, period.
Yep. So here's another interesting tweet. Is a man from Guinea who had crossed illegally in Lukeville, Arizona, tells me he plans to go to Philadelphia. When asked why, he didn't know, and he pulled out a piece of paper with an address written on it that he's supposed to go to. We looked it up, and it's a local community center.
So they're
Why does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why does that sound familiar? It's be fun.
Where are you from?
Guinea Conakry.
Where?
Guinea Conakry.
Guinea. Okay. Yeah. And where in the U.S. do you want to go to?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Why Philadelphia?
I have paper. I don't know the place. Let me check the place. I want to see the place.
Okay, so just an address in Philadelphia to go to? Okay.
Just an address in Philadelphia. Just an address, just some place in Philadelphia. Doesn't know why, doesn't know where, doesn't know who he's supposed to meet. Just an address in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and they're going to flood the streets of these major cities, because that's where they're mainly going. They're not going to little, outskirt towns. They're going into these major, major cities: New York, Philadelphia, L.A., Austin, Dallas, Houston, Phoenix. And they're just going to flood all these people. And then when the American people start getting tired of it, then they're going to label them xenophobes, domestic terrorists,
racists, right?
Everything else in the book, so American people just need to stop and start looking after your own communities and your own people and make that your focus.
Mm-hmm. So people think that it's funny because they think that this is going to be a winning issue for the Democrats in 2024. No, it's going to be a losing issue. And we know that. We've seen how Chicago has been reacting to this, right? I've got a clip from the Chicago America to play after John Kirby, but this is going to be an issue that is going to make them lose in 2024 unless they do something to change the rules of the game. Let's say, but they change the rules of the game, because it's not cheating if you change the rules, right? As long as you make them beneficial for yourself, it's not cheating, right? If you are in control of the rules, you can change the rules to fit the best way you want it to be. So that's what they do. They change the rules to fit their particular brand of politics.
Again, it's political. It's a voting base, right? So who's to say all these immigrants go to these cities, and when they get there, how easy it is for them to give them a state ID wherever they're at?
Yep.
If the government controls it, the state controls it, they can issue all these people some form of ID as long as they have an address, which they have. They give them an address. They'd be like, hey, you're allowed to stay, but here's your voter registration. Make sure when you vote this way, or we're going to deport you. So an immigrant coming to the country, when you hear that word deport, he gets scared. So what is he going to do? He's going to vote exactly the way they told him to vote. This is the way to build up the Democrats' voting base. This is another way to steal elections. They know it. We're not stupid. If you look past the deceit, you could see what their game is. And this is their game.
They've been trying to get people to be able to vote in local elections, even if they don't have citizenship or they're not legal residents. And this is the issue. Like they always do this. They say that it's like, oh, these migrants, you're racist because you don't want these migrants, so you're anti-immigration. It's like, no, I'm not anti-immigration. I'm anti-people just breaking into my house. That's if you put it like that, it's like I'm not anti-house guests. I'm anti-people breaking into my house through my window. That's what I'm against.
And how would you know if somebody came to you with a Arkansas ID? How would you know that person is illegal if they have an ID? How would you know? Because there's a lot of Americans that don't speak good English that are citizens that have ID. So how would you know if they're not? So I'm saying in these processing centers, it's not hard for them to put an ID machine in there. It's not hard, man. You can go to the DMV and get an ID like that, print it out right there. They put an ID machine in there. They line them up, click, click. All right, now you're a Philadelphia resident, and we have your address on there. And then make sure you go and vote on this day. These are the voting days. If you don't vote, we're going to track you. If you don't vote, we're going to deport you. People got to see it, man, but they
Day
don't.
for votes. That's it. So here's John Kirby's thing is that there's a general decline in some of the migrant flow. Again, not perfect, but there has been a decline. I showed you the videos from the border. Do you think there's a decline?
No.
But let's listen to what he has to say.
There was a general decline in some of the migrant flows. Again, not perfect. Not saying that it was down to a level that was comfortable for anybody, but there had been a decline, and so we want to see that same effort being applied again as a team going forward, and we'll see where that goes. But we're working on this really hard.
We're working on this really hard.
I wish you can hook a lie detector up to all of them, it was a requirement whenever they got up there to talk. And they have like a little lie detector that gets them a shock every time they lie. And every time they lie, it's like, liar.
It is so insane to me, man. It is so insane to me that they will sit there and say, they lie to your face and say, hey, it's on a decline. We're doing the best we can. Guess who's also supposed to be in charge of the border?
Who?
Is the Kamala Harris, the cackling chief herself, is supposed to be at the border helping this. You remember when she went to the South, into like the Latin American states to try to I don't know, work out something with them, and then nothing came about of that. Not a thing.
Didn't she tell him don't come?
Yeah, she told him not to come.
Don't come. Oh, I'm coming.
That was the best meme of 2023. I think. Don't come.
Don't come.
Don't come. Yeah. Don't come. Yeah. Please stop coming to the United States.
But what are these people going to do? Here's the problem we have. So Congress just went into recess, correct?
Yeah, they did. They went home for the holidays. Yeah.
So nothing's going to happen until well after the 1st, unless they come back into session sometime after Christmas, which I doubt they will. So what are these people going to do?
Yep.
They're just going to sit at the border in the freezing cold and just...
Yep. That's what they're going to do.
Just wait?
Yeah. They're just going to sit there and wait. They're going to sit there in the cold and they're going to wait, and they're just going to figure it out, I guess. Which leads to the next point, is that because of the policies of Democrats, even Democrats are being angry, but instead of pointing their finger at Biden because they don't want to end up like a certain Eric Adams in New York, because when you step on the third rail a little too many times, they start electrocuting you, which is what happened to Adams. And believe you, is because he stepped on Joe Biden too many times that he got bit. And there's nothing else to that. So the Chicago mayor, in his infinite wisdom, has figured out, don't bite at Biden, but you can attack a man in a wheelchair. Don't attack the senile old man, get the old man in the wheelchair. That's a better strategy. So listen to this.
The issue is not just how we respond in the city of Chicago, it's the fact that we have a governor, an elected official in the state of Texas that is placing families on buses without shoes, cold, wet, tired, hungry, afraid, traumatized, and then they come to the city of Chicago where we have homelessness, we have mental health clinics that have been shut down and closed. You have people who are seeking employment. The governor of Texas needs to take a look in the mirror of the chaos that he is causing for this country. This is not just a Chicago dynamic. He is attacking our country. The issue is not
Whitey's
just
fault. It's all his fault, right? Because it was his policies and Texas policies that are making people cross the border illegally, right? Because it has nothing to do with the fact that the Democrats have a lot of sanctuary states and cities across the United States that are welcoming and inviting. Remember, that's what they wanted it to be. It's like, come to the city, we will take care of you. I didn't mean that many people.
Yeah, I mean,
That's how they're acting.
all the issues that he named off, every state has those issues. Homelessness, people looking for jobs, mental health issues. So everything that he just said that's wrong with his state, Texas has the same issues, California, and you name the state, they have those issues. What makes his state so special? Because the governor of that state, who is in charge of that state, said, no, you will not stay here. We're going to take you to a city that says they're a sanctuary state. Wouldn't that be normal? We're going to take you to a sanctuary state. They said you can come. But now he's crying. You should have never lived with yourself as a sanctuary state to begin with.
Yeah, because it was illegal from the start, but you wanted to do that anyway. It is so insane to me that these people continue to do things like shoot themselves in the foot and then blame the Republicans or white people for the issues.
You know what we call that?
Yeah.
Narcissists
And racists, because that's what they are.
Yeah, most racists are narcissists anyway.
Exactly. So like this is leading into the next big part from part 2 from last episode, is the fact that this is what I'm talking about with politics, is that even though they are causing the problems and they are the ones being racist, we now have to defend ourselves against these people all the time because of what they believe, right? And they're separating and dividing America and Americans from each other based off of ideological and stupid reasons that are just as racist and white, as they put, as white supremacists, right? In just a different fashion. It's all the same sort of propaganda. It's all the same talking points. If you just trade out the race, it's literally the same. It doesn't matter who it is.
And, you're seeing it all over social media. I'm on every single platform. And all these lives you go to, all these talking heads, these popular creators, well, use that loosely, but they're all talking about the same stuff. Racism. Can black people be racist? Interracial relationships. Everything's just this divide. But then on another note, they talk about how we all need to come together. But you're talking about how we all need to come together, but you're talking about these divisive topics. Why? If you want us to come together, what did Morgan Freeman say? Stop talking about it. Right? Address it when it happens to you. Outside of that, anything that happens outside of me is outside of my control. I'll address it if it comes to me. If it doesn't come to me, I'm not going to address it. Let's just stop talking about it. There's no need to even talk about it anymore. We're not living in the 60s. We're not living in Jim Crow. We're not living in the civil rights era. We have all the freedom in the world. And this is coming from a black guy. I don't get stopped by the cops. Cops don't harass me. Nobody's ever said nothing to me racist. No one's ever done anything like that to me. So stop trying to put your experience of whatever happened in your life and trying to make everyone else live through you vicariously. Yeah. That's not how it works. Your experience.
And you're not even white passing either. I mean, you're black as black gets. Well, it's because
I am black culturally, but I am a mutt also. Culturally,
that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Okay, but still, I'm just saying is like you don't pass off as Mexican and you don't pass off as white either. Is what I mean. Like you look at you and you go, Michael's a black man. I can see that, right?
Yeah, I am a black man.
When people look at me and they look at people look at me and it's like, yeah, you're white. I get that. Yeah, I'm white. I burn in the sun and all the good things that we get for being white. Is like we are not sun people. Never have been. Anyway, point being is that this is what they do. Like the Boston mayor. This is one of the bigger ones that have happened where she was like, I'm not going to have any white people at my Christmas party. No whites. Like that, she might as well have just put a sign that said no whites, because instead she's like electeds of color. What does that mean? What is electeds of color? Michael,
racist.
Yeah, racist. Right. So
segregation, and it's people like her. this Boston mayor. It's people like her that talk about equality and all these, buzzwords about we need to all come together equality, like I said before. And then she turns around under the same breath.
Yep.
After she's been talking about equality for everyone, under the same breath, she hosts something like this.
Yeah. It's just so funny to me that you can just be blatantly racist like that and exclude people that you represent, right? Because it's like, this is just as bad as some sort of representative mayor in a town in the South that says everybody's invited except blacks. No blacks. It's the same thing. Tell me the difference between those two events, right? If a white mayor in a southern town said no blacks, people would be rightly upset. I would be upset.
Well, let me tell you what the difference would be in the way the liberals look at it, or the left, or people who think like that. It's not only leftists, because you have people on the right who think just like this also. They would say that's not the definition of racism. And then they would quote the change definition, Encyclopedia Britannica's new definition.
Right, the new definition.
Instead of going to the original definition of racism. Then they go, well, black people can't be racist. We only can be prejudiced. But prejudice is under the definition of racism. So they talk around in circles because they think you have to be in a position of power to be racist. Then they throw out systematic racism. And then you ask them what systems are in place that are racist. Yep. Then they can never tell you.
It's so crazy to me. And here's the better part is the people that actually attended it knew they probably shouldn't have attended it.
And they're hiding their face in shame.
Yeah, exactly. Howie Carr, mayor dreaming of a non-white Christmas. If the Elected to Colors party was so ho-hum, why did some attendees cover their faces?
I'm very petty. If I had that, that amount of power, I would have threw a fake event talking about a true white Christmas, whites only, just to put it out on social media, just to put it. I wouldn't have posted it. I wouldn't have had it. I would have just put it out, and you would have saw the uproar. You know what I mean?
It is, like I said, it is so crazy, the fact that these leftists, these progressives believe in segregation. They absolutely believe in segregation, and there's no other way around it. They believe in the same ideology that white nationalists and white supremacists believe, right? In just the most unironically bastardized form, right? Is they believe the exact same things. And there's been tons of comedians that have made this joke before of how they are exactly the same.
They are.
And it does,
and the funny thing is that it's promoted, and through media, social media, every aspect of life, this type of talk is promoted. Mm-hmm. So people think it's okay when you tell black people that this is the new definition of racism. They think it's okay to say the things that they say. Yeah. Us that grew up when a definition was normal understand that what they're saying is pure racism. You know what I mean? Racist is a racist. I don't care, man, what color you are, but the media pushes it, politicians push it, and they think it's okay. And a lot of these politicians that are white don't understand that the same way these pro-blacks that talk all this, reverse racism, it's not reverse racism, it's racism. It's just that talk all this stuff. They really think that if these pro-blacks or pro whoever were going to got what they got, that they would have a seat at the table. No, they hate you just as much as they hate the ones on the right. They don't like you either. They're just using you to push an agenda.
Yep. This is a interesting article that came out in 2021, right? I want you to read that because this is like right at the towards the end of the pandemic. Whiteness is a pandemic. And there's a quote in here that I want you to listen to. Whiteness is a public health crisis. It shortens life expectancies. It pollutes air. It constricts equilibrium. It devastates forests. It melts ice caps. It sparks and funds wars. It flattens dialects. It infests consciousness. And it kills people. White people and people who are not white, my mom included, there will be people who die in 2050 because of white supremacy-induced decisions from 1850.
Yeah,
whiteness is a pandemic, right?
That is good writing right there.
Yeah. Oh, I got it for you. Here you go. Here you go, Michael.
I just lost like
amazing writing. Amazing. I love it.
I don't know. The Encyclopedia Britannica from cover to cover to get all that back.
Yeah, no, so like I said, it's like this is just it's like, how do you fight racism with racism?
You don't, because at the end of the day, they don't want it to end. Because like we said yesterday, was it yesterday on the Savage Patriots? Yeah. If racism ended, if you can make a wish and you can end racism right now, all forms, every level. No one looks at each other with race, skin color, nothing. If you can just end it. Half these people that are out here crying about this on social media, talking about it constantly, wouldn't have a job. So they don't want it to end, because if it ended, they would lose money, and they like their money. So they're going to keep bringing it up, talking about it, pointing a finger, this, that, and the other, making everyone a victim. And the more you keep people a victim, the more you keep them in that lower level. And them at that lower level is easily to control and influence them to think things are the way they are when they're really not. Because if they got out in the really real world, they would understand that the way they're talking and the way these hoteps and these pro this and pro that and all these people, politicians, the way they're talking isn't real life.
Yep. This is one that I was not surprised at, because I understand going to UT. I get that they have these kind of art galleries for weird reasons, but the Vancouver Art Gallery, which is being funded by Canadian taxpayer dollars, has a exhibition called Conceptions of White. Can you guess exactly what Conceptions of White is?
All the bad white people that throughout history.
No, it's worse.
Oh, shoot.
Conceptions of White is an exhibition offering context and nuanced perspectives that help viewers grapple with the contemporary configurations of white identity. The exhibition examines the origin, travel, and present reality of whiteness. Yeah. As a concept and as a racial invention that classifies degrees of civility and humanity. Remember, all white people are bad, right? That's basically what this art gallery is a gallery of shaming people who are not people of color, which is basically means everybody but white people.
You're shaming people who have no control of the way they were created. So you're shaming them for that. Yeah, but it's bad to shame people who want to make believe that there's something that they're not. You can't shame them because they're just playing a part. But you can shame the people who have no control. Most of them don't have a racist bone in their body. And a lot of them aren't benefiting from this system that they talk about. Like you said, there's some poor to poor. I know some poor white people.
Yeah,
who aren't benefiting from all this stuff that they talk about. I worked in the jail system. There was more white people in there than there was black people. So, I mean, what are they talking about?
Exactly.
What are they talking about? It makes no sense. I come from the really real world, man. I don't live in this fantasy. I don't live in this fantasy world. These people with very low self-esteem live in. That's all it is a self-esteem problem. They think one race they're inferior to someone else, and they have to voice their opinion because they have low self-esteem. They feel horrible about themselves.
Yep. So it goes on. The select historical objects and artwork illustrate white origin myths within their historical context, revealing whiteness as North American settler colonial invention of the 17th century, created alongside blackness and aboriginality. That's really hard mouth word. The contemporary artists in the exhibition contemplate this historical foundation by examining all these acts of racialization that are felt today through the concepts of white guilt, anxiety, supremacy, benevolence, fragility, and power. Imagine doing that for any other ethnic group.
Yeah, imagine like we said before, imagine if the roles were reversed. Imagine if a white guy came out and talked about, black people the same way, conception of black people.
Had a whole thing about it.
They would have canceled him. He would have got everything taken from him. He would have been publicly shamed.
Yeah.
You can't have it one way, man. And if you're going to dish it, you have to be able to take it. You have to be able. You can't say this about you can't blanket statement all white people, and then when someone turns around and blanket statements all black people, you want to cry foul. That's not the way it works. That's not the way the world works.
I haven't listened to this video yet, but I want to see if they do an interesting introduction about this art gallery.
Just looking at them, it's going to be pretty spectacular.
It might be fun. So let's give it a shot.
Hi, I'm John Hampton.
And I'm Lillian O'Brien Davis, and we're the curators of Conceptions of White, an exhibition that offers context and nuanced perspectives to help grapple with contemporary configurations of white identity.
The show moves through historical works that examine the foundations and origins of whiteness into contemporary artists that grapple with how these acts of racialization have manifested.
Oh my God. Just looking at that alone. Can't hear you.
You go in there and you check your privilege, right? They have a video of literally just mirror shaming you. How insane is that?
You know, what's funny is it's a black female and she's talking about whiteness, but she's not white. And here's where I'm getting at. Whenever a white person mentions something about what's going on with blackness is or blackness, they say, you haven't lived my experience. You can't talk about black. You can't do this. You can't. But you guys can turn around and do the same thing to white people. That's what we're talking about, the hypocrisy. If you're going to talk about white people and claim that you understand them as an individual, they could turn around and do the same thing to you. Period.
That's right. Let's listen to some more of this then.
Manifested in acts of white supremacy, guilt, and benevolence. The exhibition opens with Robert Morse's iconic minimalist sculpture, Portal. Made in 1964, it acts as the entry point for Conceptions of White and acknowledges the exhibition's exploration of whiteness is firmly situated within the context of the white cube, which is what contemporary art galleries are known as. Portal follows the minimalist principle of reducing sculpture to its most essential elements. The implied door frame is both familiar and alien, while referencing architectural standards and presumptions of a standard
just looks
body.
like a plain
Apollo Belvedere
block.
is one of the most revered sculptures in the Western art canon, and it's played an important role in the development of white origin myths. Johann Winkelmann, known as the father of art history, first encountered the white marble sculpture in the Vatican, and he celebrated it as the highest ideal of art, and as the finest representation of human beauty and spirit. Winkelmann, unaware of the likelihood that it was painted, equated the Greco-Roman sculpture's whiteness with white skin. The discipline of art history helped spread and naturalize these neoclassical ideals of a superior white race, which came to be the core of the Western concept of civilization.
You got to be freaking kidding me, man. And this is the type of stuff that they're poisoning society with. All this division, all this hate. At the end of the day, man, for me personally, I'm going to speak on Michael. Whatever I look like or whatever someone looks like means nothing to me. The color of your skin means nothing. Your culture means nothing to me. At the end of the day, I have one goal, and that's to get to heaven, man. You know, I'm not going to be judged by the color of my skin. It's not going to give me an automatic VIP pass into heaven. All our spirits look exactly the same. My spirit's not black. Your spirit's not white. Whatever is light. You know, so at the end of the day, you know, people are so focused on this superficial, this vessel, which we have no control over, zero control over. And then they start forgetting about the spirit. You know, then they become dirty and nasty and just evil people who are spewing all this hate instead of focusing on love, light, accepting people for who they are. If somebody wrongs you, you don't seek revenge. You just erase them people from your life. You just don't talk to them. They disappear and you keep it moving. But this is done for a reason. This is to poison the youth. So this fake fight that they have going on continues on for generations to come.
They're poisoning the well. They're making everything that happens in society be the fault of whiteness, right? That's what they're coming. It's like it's colonial settler whiteness is the reason why everything is wrong in the world. And if we only could get rid of whiteness, right, then things would be better, right? Does that sound similar to a certain somebody during the 1930s who says, if only we got rid of all of these Jews, would things get better? It's the same sort of ideology. There's no different between them. And you can say it's not the same thing all day long, but it is.
It is. It's very much
exactly the same thing.
And again, like what this is going to cause if America's in a state keeps going in a direction that we're going. I hate to say it, but there just might be a civil war. And it's not going to be political party based. It might start off as that.
Yeah.
But it's going to end up being a racial war. You'll see. You see it during the riots. You see it during these George Floyd riots where these young black boys are going and pulling old white people out of their cars and beating the crap out of them. It's going to start off like that. It's going to start off political, right versus left. And then it's going to become
already been happening though.
Yeah. And then it's going to become racial.
Yep.
And that's how, and then there's going to be the people that don't stand for it that are going to end up winning that fight because we're not picking sides. I'm not picking sides.
Exactly. And then here's one last clip I wanted to play. I think this kind of like brings it to the forefront. I mean, it's like it's a global issue. We've got it in the US, we've got it in Canada, we've got it in England, and it like in Australia as well. Like it happens everywhere. It's happening all over the place. Is that anywhere that there are white folk there's not enough diversity. There's not enough people that doesn't look white, and that we have to eliminate whiteness in order to make things better. Like, so here's this guy has a good point with it, and I've liked it before. I think it's a little bit, it's an older clip, but it's still good.
Is anyone going to call out the despicable and very obvious growth of anti-white racism now being accepted as normal in the British mainstream media? If you think I'm exaggerating, I want to look at 3 egregious examples from the past 48 hours alone. First, Wilfred Emmanuel Jones went on Sly News Saturday evening, where while previewing the amazing feat of our Lionesses making the World Cup final, he decided to turn the discussion of this Sunday Mirror front page into a debate about the ethnic makeup of the team. Watch.
The only thing I would say about this picture here, what jumps out of you is that this doesn't sort of represent diverse Britain. It's all these blonde, blue-eyed girls, and, you know, I wish them well, but I do think we need to ask ourselves questions about why is it that we've got, it has a lack of diversity.
They're playing sport at an elite level.
Yeah.
And they are from Britain. And they're women.
It doesn't make any difference. I think if the whole idea behind this is going to encourage more women to go into the sport, you need some sort of representation there to say, whatever background you come from, you could get to this sort of level.
Because Britain doesn't look like that. Yeah, and it's so important when you speak to these little girls that they see someone that they can relate to.
Exactly. It makes such a difference. That little girl might then end up playing football because she's seen someone who looks like her.
Just imagine if that scenario were reversed with any other sporting team that might feature a different ethnic makeup. Some of them are there. It just wouldn't happen, nor should it. We have lost all sense of rationality if national selectors are thinking about race before ability. By the way, as GB News contributor Rafe Haydel-Manku pointed out over the weekend, according to the 2021 census, England is 4.2% black. 13% of the Lionesses are black, 3 players out of the 23-member squad. So actually, that's 3 times more than the population, which I would say is more than representative. As social commentator Konstantin Kisin wrote about this,
is what happens when you tolerate, encourage and incentivize race baiting in the media. This is why the diversity agenda needs to be dismantled brick by brick. It stopped being about fairness a long time ago. It's just a new form of racism now.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I wanted to point out about that is like, is anybody going to the NBA and say, hey, there's too many black people here? There's not enough whiteness.
I mean, this new social justice woke agenda is racism disguised as equity.
Yeah.
You know, just call it what it is. I've never in my life, and as a military guy growing up in the military in a predominantly white MOS, right? As an infantryman. I never once walked in or looked around and said, "Well, I wish there's not enough people look like me." No, I had a job to do. I did my job. Period. I didn't look at people like that, man. And this is what they're telling these young kids that if you walk into a sports team, look around and look for people that look like you. And like, why? I'm just there to play
I'm
a
just
sport.
here to play the game, man.
I don't care
Like,
if
I
somebody
don't.
looks like me. I don't care if somebody looks like me. Cool. You know, that's not going to change me playing the game.
Nope.
Makes no
But
sense.
that's the way they look at it. That's how they've always been looking at it. So like it's so funny to me because like you take what that guy said on that interview, right? And go, man, there are way too many Jews up there. Like how that sounds, you know, just me saying it out loud sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Or like if I looked up there and I looked at an all black team and I go, man, there are way too many blacks.
Yep.
Like just saying that out loud in another way makes it seem absolutely insane, does it not?
Yeah. And you know, so what's the end goal, right? So, you know, at first it was like, you know, white people need to, you know, accept the fact that their ancestors did all this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Majority of them say, yeah, hey.
Sins of the father, right?
Hey, sins of my father. Hey, I wasn't around, but it was really bad. And I accept the fact that it was bad. Cool.
Yeah.
We need more black people representation in movies. Give it to them. Black people running sports. Give it to them. At the end of the day, when is it going to end? First black president, got it. More blacks in politics, got it. More black police, got it. You know, and it's never going to end. They keep giving, and then they want more and more and more. Because at the end of the day, it's about the eradication of a whole race of people, taking them out of the public light, put them in the ghetto, letting them feel the pain of the marginalized communities.
Yeah, it's revenge and retribution.
Yeah, it's all
if you're
revenge.
Gonna be, if you really want to say what it is, like be honest about it, right? If you really want to say, oh, it's about making things better, right? No, it's not.
No,
it's about revenge and retribution. You want to make the white race feel exactly how everybody else felt when they were doing it to them. That's revenge and retribution. If that's what you want, be honest about it.
Yeah, just say
be
it.
honest about it. Just say it out loud, like because that's what the white supremacists do and the white nationalists do, right? They're proud about what they believe. If you're gonna like say things so vile and disgusting and racist as that, then you might as well be honest about it because that's exactly what you're doing. You can shower it with all kinds of flowery words and exceptions, but that's what you're wanting.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what you're wanting.
So, I don't know, man. That's going to be some hard times in these next few years, you know, because, you know, they're separating us politically, they're separating us spiritually, they're separating us religiously, they're separating us financially, they're separating us by race. Everybody's in their own little groups, and there's a very select few individuals around the world, and I'm going to speak for America, that don't believe in putting ourselves in boxes. We don't see ourselves like that. We're just people living, you know. But too many people want to be accepted, so they join these movements. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a race-based movement, sexual-based movement, a religious-based movement. It's something that they all want to be a part of. Once you be a part of this, once you become a part of this, you start living in an echo chamber. So the beliefs of that chamber, the beliefs of that group start really affecting you, and you start believing something that you probably don't really believe, but you want to be a part of something. So a lot of this is just them wanting to be a part of something bigger than themselves. Me, I'm a loner. I don't want to be a part of nothing. You know, I'm just being me. I'm just doing me every single day.
We're just a couple of grunts. What do we know, right?
Yeah.
It's like we bleed green.
Just a couple of grunts who've been around the world a couple times, you know, seen things,
seen some things,
been in different cultures, left the country a few times, seen other cultures, how bad it can be in some other countries, and knowing that Americans are a bunch of spoiled little brats because they wouldn't survive a day in some of these other countries.
Yeah,
they're just spoiled.
Like I said, all this is first world problems that you have no problems because your needs have been met, that you have to make up problems in order to feel relevant. That's
Give
really
them all
all it is.
reparation. Give them anything they want, man. That's what I would do. You want reparation? Here you go.
We got real problems in the United States, and all this racism isn't going to help it.
Yeah, it's not going away. You can't change a person's heart, man. Racism itself as an action, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Across the world, it's not just an America problem; it's a world problem. You're not going to change someone's heart. You're not going to change the way somebody was raised. You're not going to change that. In some cases, you can. It's just very small.
Racism is multicultural.
Yeah, it's multicultural. You're never going to change that. So why even talk about it? Just keep it moving. As long as you're not causing you any type of bodily harm, as long as they're not hurting your family, let them be as racist as they want to be. Go ahead. I don't care. Just don't try to affect my kids with it. Don't try to affect these people with it. Just do it over there in your little corner. Talk to your people, and you can be as racist as you want wherever you're at. Go for it.
Like I said, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse before it gets better, and then hopefully, maybe eventually, the stuff will go away. But not until the meantime. But don't let people shame you into thinking that you're lesser because of your skin color on either side. It doesn't matter what color you are.
Don't ever buy into that.
Yeah.
You know, the people that spew that hate have to answer. They don't have to answer to individuals here. They have to answer to one person, one being. And that's between them and God. They're going to have to answer for all that. So at the end of the day, there's no need to argue with them about it. There's no need to try to defend yourself about it. You know who you are. And if you get attacked and you're called this, that, and the other, don't even try to defend yourself against it because you know who you are.
Yep.
You know, I don't defend myself against slander. I don't. I know who I am. So at the end of the day, they're going to have to answer for everything. And then they're going to all find out. We're all going to find out at the end of the day. So why sit here and fight over things that it's never going to go away. It's never going to go away.
Or it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It
Just
really
keep
doesn't
living
matter.
your life, taking care of your family, doing whatever you got to do to survive this hell, this prison that we're living in right now.
Yeah.
That's my focus. I'll talk about the issues, but I'm not too invested in this stuff because I have bigger fish to fry.
Exactly. Well, that'll be it for the show tonight. Ladies and gents, we appreciate you coming out on different times. We might make this a regular thing of being Tuesdays and Thursdays, do more shows for you guys in between the Savage Patriots, which will be on tomorrow night. We'll do kind of a holiday show, and then we're going to be taking a week hiatus for the holidays so everybody can be a part of the family. You don't have to feel responsible of watching our content because we're actually going to be hanging out with people. So we'll do that. Anyway, tomorrow night, same time, same place as usual for the Savage Patriots. Michael, you got anything else?
Hey, just keep up the good fight, and don't buy into the nonsense too much. A lot of it's used to cause a divide between the people, and stay informed. Stay informed, know what's going on in the world, but there's a lot of stuff going on that they're not talking about. They're feeding us a lot of disinformation. They're not telling us the truth. And they want us to bite on it. So just don't fall for it. Everything is a rich man's trick. All of it. Anything that comes out of the mainstream media's mouth, anything that comes out of these rhinos, these leftists, all, these mainstream politicians, do not believe them. Just know that. Don't believe anything that comes out their mouth unless you've seen it with your own eyes or felt it. Outside of that, if it's coming out of their mouth, don't buy it. Always keep a watchful eye and don't buy into the stuff because we need unity at a time like this. And they're going to keep trying to spread this division to get what they want. And that is the fall of our country. But if it falls, it is our fault. Remember that.
Exactly. And I agree 100% with everything you just said.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You get a critical thinking and close reading are the name of the game. It's very important that you understand what people say between the lines.
That's right.
For us this week. We'll see you all tomorrow, and then we'll be off for the week. Anyway, we love you, America. We'll see you next time.
We're
out.
According to your Facebook page, we aren't friends.